Hey everyone, and welcome to another Let's Max Warframe, where today we get to rejoice as we get another bow added to the game as part of update 21.3, and that is the Lenz. Now we've all been used to bows in Warframe for a long time, and we have a whole bunch of them. The Cernos family, Paris family, Dread and the Daikyu. For the most part, with the exception of the Daikyu, they aren't that different mechanically, so what does the Lenz offer in the way of something new to this class of weapons? Well, to start it off, you need to do the research in the Corpus Tech Lab in the dojo. The costs aren't too bad, really. There's nothing in there that really clans are going to struggle with too much to fund. But when you do have that and have built the weapon, I'm not sure on the build costs or what it requires just yet because it's clan tech and we haven't done the research yet. It does come with a mastery rank requirement of 8. The weapon itself does come with a base damage of 50. With that literally all coming in the form of impact. Now, I know compared to the rest of the bows that sounds ridiculously low, doesn't it? Well, you would be right. But after you hit something with the arrow, a direct impact on an enemy with the arrow is going to leave a guaranteed impact proc. However, it doesn't matter if it's an enemy or the ground. In terms of the arrow, it doesn't matter if it's an enemy or the ground. It's going to explode in a wave of 10 cold damage with a 100% chance of a cold proc. Then, after a second or two, the arrow will explode again, this time dealing 660 pure blast damage to anything in the AoE, which appears to be around 7 meters, although this is actually honestly pretty difficult to test reliably. So this weapon has 3 stages of damage: the direct impact from the arrow, the cold explosion, and then the big blast at the end, and that brings it up to 720 damage per shot. That is pretty incredible, right? Well, its support stats further boost it from there. A whopping 50% critical chance and 200% damage multiplier is equal crit chance to the ever impressive Dread. So as you can imagine, a crit build on this is going to rock the house to the ground. It's only going to have a 5% status chance though. Normally that doesn't mean a status build is worth it. However, as I'm going to explain a little bit later, it's actually kind of misleading on the Lenz. There are 2 other stats that really do need touching on though before we move on to the build, and that is fire rate, which at 1.2 rounds a second is super low and is absolutely going to require a fire rate mod like speed trigger or vial acceleration to fix, and the fact it only has 6 rounds of ammo in reserve. Yep, that's right, 6. Now I know you guys and girls are probably like, what the heck, you're going to be out of ammo constantly, and yeah, it does feel like that at first, until you realise that the circular part of the bow that's actually kept on your back is actually an ammunition converter. That's right, this bow has built-in ammo conversion. If you pick up excess ammo for the classes you do not have equipped, or if you've got full ammo for your rifle that you've got equipped, it's going to be converted into bow ammo that the Lenz needs to be able to carry on firing. This means that if you keep killing, you are almost never going to run out of ammo. Not something you originally have thought of when you saw that 6-round total ammo. So in terms of the build, I did quite a bit of testing on stream last night and came up with a build that I am very happy with. 3-former, since it already comes with 2 dash polarities on the weapon, Serration, Split Chamber, Point Strike and Vital Sense, the Point Strike and Vital Sense for crit chance and damage of course, Vial Acceleration to fix that slow charge speed, and this is where the build becomes a bit interesting. 2 dual stat elementals and a 90% elemental mod. Now, let's address Vial Acceleration here first. I prefer the extra speed of Vial Acceleration over the slight damage loss. If you feel that the damage loss of Vial Acceleration is too great for you, you could very easily switch that out for a speed trigger. It might require a reformer, but that is something you could do. Now to talk about those dual stats. Remember I said that the 5% is misleading, and that's because it kind of is. 2 dual stats bring up the weapon to 19% status. 3 of them brings it up to 25% status. Now, that doesn't sound much for a single shot weapon, and realistically, it's not. However, the reason is that it has 3 separate chances to proc elemental combo you've got on the weapon. The cold and blast of the second and third stage of the explosions, they are completely separate to the status chance of the weapon. They've got nothing to do with that 5%. However, the elemental combo on the weapon can proc on the initial impact when the arrow directly hits the target. It has another chance to proc when the cold wave hits enemies, and a third chance to proc when the blast proc hits enemies as well. Effectively meaning you've got 3 chances at 20% status chance to proc something from one single hit. Plus, with it being AoE, it makes it way more effective at spreading those additional procs around. Something I found highly useful, especially if I combined it with a condition overload melee weapon. So what do I think of the Lenz? Do I think it's worth building and investing some former into? And you know what? Hell yes I do. This thing is amazing. Bows, like I said earlier, are a class that are hard to do innovative stuff with, to make something stand out, yet remain a bow. However, with the Lenz, they absolutely nailed it. The mechanics of this weapon are super interesting. They took some time to fully understand exactly what was going on, and then it took a bit more testing just to nail down exactly how I wanted to build it. Yes, it came out mostly the same as other bows, but the status thing was something that required quite a few hours of testing just to make sure it was working like I thought it was. Now, the weapon is the full package. It looks bloody amazing, let's be honest here. I think it might even be one of the best looking bows, if not one of the best looking weapons in the game. It's beastly, it's huge, it looks powerful, but it still retains that look of being corpus. It is an incredible design. The animations are amazing too, as are the sounds of the weapon. But the way the Lenz plays really made it stand out to me. That cold proc slowing enemies down, keeping them in place for the explosion, such an amazing thing, and something I really like. It's so much fun, and it's been such a blast to play with. I'm going to mention the greatest downside of this bow now, and that is self-damage. Yep, that's right, self-damage is a thing with the explosions on the Lenz. You can hit yourself both with the cold proc, and then you can blow yourself up with the blast explosion. It does have a huge bubble around the explosions, however, to show you how far away that you need to be not to get hit. Be aware that is affected by your energy as well, so if you go for black energy, that can be very, very hard to see, that bubble, and it can be very easy to blow yourself up. However, honestly, if you're like me and are a bit trigger happy, your squad mates might have to be prepared to pick you up a few times per mission, because blowing yourself up, it does happen fairly often. But the Lenz, honestly, is something I've had a blast playing with. AoE cloud clearing bow, crowd control, interesting features built into a package that looks as incredible as it does. Whoever came up with this thing just knocked it out of the park. It is a fantastic weapon and is well deserving of a look, especially if you like your bows. I think D's been listening to us. We've been complaining about having lenses in the sortie rotations. I think it was about time the D put a good Lenz into the game. So I hope you enjoyed my look at the Lenz. I'll be back tomorrow with another Let's Max episode and maybe another Armoured Warfare replay, depending on how I feel. But for now, many thanks for watching, and I shall see you in the next episode.
I'm Tori, and I'm here to ask you one question, and one question only. Explosions!